What's up? So today I wanted to talk about how I've been using type in my Jiu Jitsu journey, because as you guys have probably heard in some of my previous videos, I started Jiu Jitsu about 6 months ago. I actually became a two-stripe white belt last month. Um, and a big reason for doing this was because I wanted to try something new. I did wrestle in high school. I've always enjoyed grappling. I've done some no-gi jiu-jitsu through my early 20s. And I was wondering if I could bring type into jiu-jitsu, because one day I do have a goal of opening a facility where, we help athletes become better at jiu-jitsu, grappling in general too. And I wanted to see if type had any correlation to this. I got kind of sick of just like the academic talk about type and what it is, and that all SE is sports and things like that, because I really doubted that. And I think that what I've noticed through my time in jiu-jitsu is that not all of jiu-jitsu is about using extroverted sensation. All the other functions are used, and there are tons of different types in the jiu-jitsu community, and how they spar, how they actually compete is different based on their types, but you do see a lot of similarities between people of the same type. And today I just wanted to go over, I've been like kind of documenting some of the types that are in my class and some of the similarities between people of the same type, and I want to just go over some of that. And a big reason for this is because I think that you can help yourself by understanding people and their type. You can help yourself through sports like jiu-jitsu. I think as a coach, by understanding what type is, you can understand some of the tendencies of certain students, the bad behaviors that happen. When I talk about behaviors, I mean technique that they're using, that or the lack of technique that they're using even. And you can begin understanding that like people of the same type are going to show up to class and into tournaments with similar problems or similar strengths. And instead of like coaching to one certain type, whatever type that coaches to, that you can actually begin coaching to the specific needs based on the functions that people are using. And for myself as a grappler, I use it to, when I wrestle somebody new, I start picking up mannerisms that they're using that I've seen from other grapplers, and I start to understand where I can trick them a little bit, or where I know that they're going to get a little aggressive, or maybe where they might, a lot of it is like deceiving them, because I understand how they're approaching a match. So what I want to talk about today is how I see the few types that I do have in my class show up, and some of the similarities. We have a mix of types, but I do have two people in my class who are ESTJs. And I will say that not only do they wrestle extremely similarly, they also have a very similar background. And I know that you can't always type somebody if it's your first time sparring with them or wrestling with them, but there are certain things that they do to start each sparring round that we do that is the exact same. And I usually pull guard, and instead of like what a lot of people do is just go into somebody's guard, these guys are actually very high energy. We call them the Energizer bunnies, and they're always like running in circles to get around you. Not many people do this, but these two ESTJs, their TE is very aggressive. They're attacking first if they can. But they are lacking a lot of technique a lot of the times. Where we also have a few like we have a few introverts, we have a few SI DOMs in our class, and they don't attack. They very rarely attack, but what they do is when you attack, they are using the moves specifically that the teacher has taught them already, where the TE DOMs aren't doing that a lot of times. They're not really using the technique as much as they're using themselves as a resource. And what's so funny about these two TE DOMs is that before they actually started jiu-jitsu, they were both runners, long distance runners, and they weightlifted when they weren't running, and they just have a very similar backstory. So it kind of goes with this Energizer bunny um, archetype that I kind of see about them, where they're just attacking, attacking, attacking. And though that's really good, without the technique, that what I would influence them to do, and what I do influence them to do, is to really pick up on some technique, because attacking isn't really something that you can do if you're not using the right technique. And another thing that I've noticed about them is that, like, if I do submit them, because I usually submit a lot of people, um, that's where they're picking up the technique. Is they're like, oh, how did you do that? What move was that? Um, and we usually daily we have class in the beginning of class, we go over all these different techniques, and well, usually one technique a day, and they're not really picking it up there because they haven't been able to see it actually work on themselves. They don't understand that that's what they need to be effective. And then it's when they get submitted by it that they start realizing that that's an important move. And then we also have an SE Dom in our class, and one thing I've noticed about him is that he is way less aggressive until it comes to reacting. Like, if you make a mistake, he is going to react so fast to your mistake. He's just going to move his foot and push your leg out, or just move your arm the right way so that you move really fast. And his TE is tertiary, so he isn't as aggressive in finishing the match as fast, or even trying to attack as fast. What he's really trying to do is see where you make your mistakes so that he can react to it. He's one of my favorite sparring partners, actually, because as an introverted judger, I usually, and what I've noticed with a lot of introverted judgers, is that I usually go in with like a few techniques that I'm looking to optimize at the time. And what happens is that when I'm going to hit those using those techniques, he has a defense that he can quickly react to. And it really helps me add to my technique. Okay, understanding, okay, this happens and then the next thing happens, because every time, anybody who knows what he knows is going to be doing that exact same thing, and then there's a next technique to that. So I'm able to learn a lot from him. And also I noticed I have somebody who I actually invite over, and we spar on my wrestling mat. He's an FI Dom, and he also always has a technique that he wants to go into. I think that one of the big difference between TI and FI in Jiu-Jitsu is really that the FI Dom is reliant on the coach a lot more, where I think the TI Doms don't rely on the coach so much. I actually feel like if an FI Dom didn't like the coach, they probably wouldn't continue doing Jiu-Jitsu. If you've ever heard of John Danaher and Gordon Ryan, I'm pretty sure Danaher's an INTJ, and Gordon Ryan is an ISFP. And Gordon Ryan has always said that if John Danaher wasn't his coach, he wouldn't continue doing jiu-jitsu. And I think that you'll see this from a lot of FI Doms, that they really have to find value in the coach that they're using, where I think TI Doms can kind of get away from like attaching to a coach. So we do have a few other types. I think there is one FE Dom in our gym. I don't know if we have any NE Doms, to be honest. Though I don't go to all the classes. I am going to more classes. I'm meeting more people. And I'm starting to realize more. Actually, today was one of the first times that I really saw a type. I was wrestling both of the ESTJs, and I'm like, they wrestle the exact same way. I'm like, it's because they're this type. And I do have a few more things that I've noticed about SI Doms, which is that they really SI, and I think we have one NI Dom. I'm not sure if he's NI. I don't really go like profile these people. It's through like getting to know them after 6 months now. A lot of it, we're just beating each other up, so I don't have time to really like do a one-to-one profile or anything. but it's possible that this person's an SI or an NI. It's one or the other. But they don't like. It's not that they don't like. It's that they'll point out when I do something that they haven't seen before in training. So the first time I ever sat down on the mat and waited for them to come to me, they're like, I don't even know what to do here. Where you wouldn't see that from a TE Dom at all. The TE Dom would just try to pounce on you. The SE Dom would try to go into adapting to that. They would try to like move into where they would want to be more so. The TE Dom is going to try to attack where you are. Where the SI Dom will actually say to you, I don't know what to do here. Or I've never seen this before. And they'll ask you for the advice on like, hey, what should I do here? And I usually give it to them. I'm like, okay, well, you got to grab my pant legs here. Or you have to, depending on what I'm doing. So I'm not going to go into all the technique that I use. Hopefully I do that eventually on this channel because I do want to talk more about jiu-jitsu. I'm really happy that I can bring type into it, especially since it's really starting to show up for me now. I've always thought that you can like type somebody based on mannerisms, and now I'm starting to see that I can type them based on how they approach a match. I'm sure once I go through my first tournament, which is in April, I'm really going to kind of get to see how people even start with the handshakes, how people finish a match when they win and lose. And I'll start picking up similarities between that, which will help. And I'm starting to actually realize how applicable type is, and that it doesn't need to just be a bunch of theorizing that needs to be done. I mean, you still have to theorize, but you can actually help people improve with it in different aspects other than just life coaching and things like that. Although, you know, with jiu-jitsu, you are improving your life. And when you get into sports, you are improving your life. So there's no reason to keep type out of these kind of things. And I'm going to be talking more about it as I begin picking up some of these patterns that people are demonstrating. And I see more of the same types over and over. I'm going to start just talking about what I see with similarities academically and not put into a medium. I think it's all talked about way too much without any application really. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I just wanted to make a video so that you guys know that's what I'm trying to do. If you guys have any questions about jiu-jitsu specifically, or if you're a certain type and you've done jiu-jitsu and you want to know what I think more about that specifically, you can let me know in the comments, and I will definitely make videos about that. Because I do think that this channel is going to have a lot of talk about jiu-jitsu and the psychology involved in jiu-jitsu, understanding the psychology that will make you better, and the ways to understand what's going on around you. So I hope this video helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave any comments or questions down below. Thanks for watching.